Have you ever had that feeling? You know the one. You look at your life, you look at your daily routine, and you just think, how did I get here? It's that weird, unsettling disconnect between the person you always planned on being and the person who's actually staring back at you in the mirror. Well, this explainer is designed to answer that exact question. And more importantly, it's going to give you a rock-solid system to make sure you never have to ask it again.
Just let that sink in for a second. This is the whole paradox we're going to unpack today. The person you become 5 years from now, it isn't going to be shaped by some huge, dramatic event or one massive failure. Nope. It's forged by 1,000 tiny, seemingly harmless decisions. The choice to scroll instead of read, to say yes when you really meant no, to pick what's easy over what's right. This slow, silent erosion of who you want to be, that's what we call identity drift. And today, we're going to stop it in its tracks.
Okay, now I want you to focus on two words here: unintentionally and unmanaged. Because nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, you know what, today I'm going to betray my own values. Identity drift is passive. It's what happens when we just let our small daily choices run on autopilot, completely unchecked. It's the path of least resistance, and it is quietly, relentlessly building a life you never actually said you wanted.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to understand the science behind this self-betrayal. Then we're going to build a powerful 3-step system to stop it. We'll dive into the psychology of why this system is so darn effective, give you a precise action plan to start today, and finally, show you how to become the true architect of your future self.
All right, to fix a problem, you first have to diagnose it, right? That feeling of being a stranger to yourself, it's not just a vague feeling. It is a real, measurable gap between two competing identities that are living inside you right now. The person you want to be, and the person your daily actions are actually creating.
So on one side, you've got your aspirational identity. This is the best version of yourself, the one you dream about. The focused leader, the patient parent, the disciplined creator. It's built on your deepest values. But on the other side, you've got your operational identity. And this isn't who you hope to be, it's who your actions today prove you are. It's the grand total of every snoozed alarm, every mindless scroll, every broken promise you've made to yourself. Identity drift is just the growing space between these two. It's the distance between your ideals and your actual reality.
And let me tell you, that gap, it isn't free. It comes with a huge psychological price tag, and its name is cognitive dissonance. This is that nagging, low-grade anxiety that hums in the background when what you do doesn't line up with what you believe. It's this internal friction that absolutely torches your energy, kills your motivation, and makes you feel like a total fraud in your own life. This is the engine of identity drift.
Okay, enough about the problem. Let's start building the solution. We are not going to fight this with flimsy resolutions or just sheer willpower, because let's be honest, that's a battle you are set up to lose. Instead, we are going to build a system, a literal operating system for your life that makes staying true to yourself pretty much automatic. Here is the entire system in a nutshell. Define, defend, and calibrate. First, we get razor-sharp clarity on who you want to be. Second, we build a powerful fortress against all the daily distractions and decisions that try to pull you off course. And third, we create a mandatory weekly check-in to keep you locked on target. Let's break it down.
Step 1 is all about creating your North Star. This is what we call your Aspirational Identity Thesis. Now, this isn't some long, fluffy mission statement. It is a single, concise, present tense sentence that defines who you are. Right now, not who you want to be. For example, a bad thesis is, I want to be healthier. A powerful one is, I am an athlete who fuels my body and trains with intention. You feel the difference? One is a wish, the other is an identity. This thesis becomes the ultimate filter for every single decision you make.
Now, with your North Star set, it's time to build your defenses. You are going to be hit with thousands of choices that threaten your new identity. The decision veto is your core defensive strategy. This is where you pinpoint your biggest drift triggers. You know, those small, recurring choices that always seem to pull you off track, like grabbing your phone first thing in the morning or that impulse candy bar at the checkout. Then, you build a system to make those choices harder. This isn't about willpower, it's about engineering your environment for an automatic win.
And finally, step 3 is your guidance system, your weekly recalibration loop. Look, no system is perfect, and you're going to drift a little. It's inevitable. This mandatory, non-negotiable audit is how you get back on track. It's a quick, objective look at the data of your week. This isn't about feeling guilty or beating yourself up. It's about making small, smart course corrections before they turn into huge problems.
So, you've got the 3 steps. but understanding why this whole thing works is what's going to make it stick. This framework is so powerful because it's not just about changing your behavior. It's about working with the fundamental wiring of your brain. It's basically about rewiring yourself for automatic success.
So this whole system taps into 3 core psychological drivers. First, your brain has this deep, primal need for what's called cognitive consistency. When your declared identity, your thesis, clashes with your actions, it creates that cognitive dissonance we talked about. Your brain hates that feeling, and it will automatically work to fix it by aligning your actions with your identity. Second, it saves you a ton of precious mental energy. And third, by giving you clarity, it actually calms down your brain's threat detection center, which reduces feelings of anxiety and self-doubt.
Think of your willpower, your executive function, like a battery on your phone. Every single decision you make, no matter how tiny, drains that battery a little. Psychologists call this ego depletion. A system of veto rules basically puts all the small stuff on autopilot, taking dozens of draining decisions off your plate every day. As you can see here, that saves a massive amount of mental energy. It is a total game changer. All that saved energy can then be used on the big stuff, the choices that really define your life and career.
All right, enough theory. It is time to take action. This isn't just interesting information, it's an instruction manual. This is your step-by-step guide to putting this system to work in your life, starting the second this explainer is over.
Here is your mission, should you choose to accept it. Step 1. Before your head hits the pillow tonight, write your 1-sentence aspirational thesis, present tense, identity-focused. Step 2. Pick your single biggest drift trigger and create just one veto rule for it, just one to start. And Step 3. Open your calendar right now and schedule a recurring 5-minute appointment with yourself for your weekly audit. Same day, same time, every single week. This is absolutely non-negotiable.
Okay, this is where we build something called a friction map. A friction map just means you find the easy path to a bad habit, and then you strategically make that path harder. Notice how simple and physical these solutions are. Instead of using willpower to not check your phone in bed, you add the friction of having to get up and walk to another room. You're not fighting your impulses anymore. You are designing an environment where they have no power over you. You're being an architect, not a victim. When you sit down for that weekly audit you just scheduled, this is the only question you need to ask yourself. It's precise and it's ruthless. It's not about judgment, it's about data. It forces you to be honest about the votes you cast with your actions. Just identify the 3 small choices holding you back and find one simple way to do a little better next week. That is how you stay on course.
Okay, you now have the complete framework from diagnosing the problem to putting the solution in place. We've built the whole system piece by piece. But if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, I want it to be this. The secret to mastering your future self is way simpler than you think.
Burn this into your brain. Your future isn't shaped by your big, audacious dreams or your grand goals. It is forged in the fire of your small, daily choices. If you manage these, you control your destiny. But if you leave them unmanaged, you're just letting the world decide who you become.
So as we wrap things up, let's be crystal clear on what this system really does for you. First, it solves the problem of passive misalignment. It stops you from accidentally drifting into a life you didn't choose, which in turn gets rid of that chronic energy-sucking stress of cognitive dissonance.
And this is so important, because what this does is give you a systematic, reliable way to guarantee long-term self-consistency and prevent a full-blown identity crisis. Your thesis statement and your veto rules work together to tap into your brain's natural need to align what you do with who you said you are. It makes being your best self the path of least resistance.
And really, that brings us to the ultimate point here. True productivity, real self-mastery, it isn't about hustle or just grinding harder. It's not about doing more. It is about mastering intelligent systems that make focus and discipline feel effortless. It's about designing a life where you win by default.
So your mission is clear. Write your aspirational thesis. Create one veto rule against your biggest trigger. And do it today. Not next week, not tomorrow. Today. The person you want to be is waiting. Go build them.